This is Parker Ellis. You're watching an exclusive interview with Imperfect Fifth. When I was about 10 years old, my older brother burned a CD for me, and that had Atmosphere, Jurassic 5, and some other names I can't remember right now. But that's what I was bumping as a kid in elementary school, 5th grade, 6th grade. I was showing all my friends. That's what I was living and breathing, hip-hop, and specifically Minnesota hip-hop. Shout out Atmosphere.
Okay, so my very first musical memory, that's got to be in elementary school. So I was part of my elementary school band. We were maxed out on drummers, we were maxed out on trumpets, and I had trombone on my sheet. That wound up being my instrument. I played it for about 8 years and was even part of my school's marching band. So yeah, the group doesn't even know about that.
I gotta say my first musical memory is probably when I was about maybe 7 or 8, and my grandpa and grandma hooked me up with their old school playlist of soul music, R&B, classic rock. We're talking Stevie Wonder, Otis Redding, Al Green, the Beatles, Rolling Stones, the Eagles, Nick, countless. But he loaded up my iPod Nano, and I listened to all those old school tracks growing up on the way to the school, on the school bus with my friends, and we'd share the headphone, one in each ear. So that's where I really grew my love for just music in general, classic songwriting, yeah, and just all the good classics, on the radio or whatever you want to call it.
The first one that comes to mind is that my elementary school music teacher told me that music probably wasn't my thing, which is very funny in hindsight. And I understand where he was coming from, because the music education system as it was and as it is super wasn't making me into the kind of person that would be successful in the music industry. I wanted to play drums. There was only one drum kit and I wasn't any good at it. I wanted to play bass. I wanted to do all of these things, but I never learned to read sheet music, and I still don't know how. So it was not connecting. And I think that teacher, just in a moment of frustration, was like, "You're probably not a musician," which is very funny because that's my whole self now.
I mean, I wouldn't say that I remember this specifically myself. But my mom used to say that I knew a ton of Britney Spears songs before I actually knew how to talk. So I was singing "Hit Me Baby" one more time in the car seat in the back at a totally inappropriate age.
Hobby? It's an interesting question, because for me right now, is music just a hobby? No, not exactly, but is it my dream to become some international pop star rapper? No, not really that either. I mean, it started out, right after college. I was 100% career focused, and I did that for probably 8 years, grinding, working hard, straight and narrow. And then all of a sudden, one of my friends asked me to make a song with them. I hadn't touched music in a long time. And I said yes, and I did it, and I was like, oh my God, what the hell have I been doing? Why haven't I had anything, any type of creative outlet? So that really kind of woke me back up. And I mean, I'm not here to say don't focus on building a career and having a way to earn money and provide for yourself or your family. But I don't think that's all that it's about. And so for me, it started as a way to just have an additional creative outlet, and that just kind of snowballed. I'm the type of person that wants to try more stuff, do new things, work with new people, and in this case, join an amazing group of artists and form a new collective.
I can show different parts of myself, and rappers are cool. They wear cool chains, they hang out with cool girls, they do cool stuff. So, yeah, I get to show different parts of myself, and musicians are cool. So, why not become one, right?
Back in 2017, I started writing more seriously with a friend of mine in Minneapolis, prior to me moving to LA. His name is actually Minneapolis Drew. We did plenty of shows together, a lot of shows at, like the Poorhouse in Minneapolis, 7th Street Entry, First Avenue, a few more spots. I did a show at the Caboose prior to me leaving. We collabed quite a bit. We actually have a good collection of songs streaming on Spotify, Apple Music, and YouTube, what have you.
I have been making beats since I was like 14 and songwriting for as long as I can remember. But when I went to treatment, inpatient rehab, when I was 17, it was communicated to me there by another person who I met that I could do it, that my music was good enough that I could be a musician. And I trusted him because he was a career musician himself. His name is Damien, rest in peace. He is an incredible, incredible person and an incredible musician as well. But he was the first to really say, you can do this. And up until he passed, he was very supportive of me in that way. So thank you, Damien.
I feel like I always had kind of an inkling that I wanted to pursue music as more than just a a fun activity. But I don't know if it was really any specific thing. I just always kind of looked at music as it just felt like that was always kind of a part of me. I've been involved in music from a pretty young age, so I just feel like if music wasn't a part of my life, life would not be, as interesting. So I feel like it was always kind of in the cards.
Well, it started in my brain because I had this idea, right? I really like Brockhampton. I think that's a super cool group, and they broke a lot of norms. They put out a ton of amazing music, and they had this really awesome experience for them as artists, but also their fans and that community that they built. And I was like, oh God, I kind of want to do something like that. But to do that, I would need to have a bunch of friends and other artists that I could work with and join, which I didn't. So I decided, hey, what if I tried to do this, but with a bunch of people from across the country and who were basically strangers. And we just tried our best to form a group and make some amazing music, and poof, the idea was born. From there, I reached out to TimmyT, who was kind of an acquaintance that I had done a song with before. And we just started reaching out to artists that either we knew or I had stumbled upon on Instagram. And honestly, we ended up finding 5 total amazing artists that have tons of talent and various skills, including amazing production and mixing and mastering, audio engineering, all of that. So the sound quality that we're able to do as a group with the different voices we're bringing in and with the professionalism on the audio engineering, it's next level. It's unlike anything I've ever done. So I'm super pumped on that and really excited to share this whole treasure trove of songs that we're sitting on right now, ready to release them.
I don't know what Meet Cute is, but I got to give a shout out to TimmyT. I met him when I was living in LA at a show. We did a couple sessions together. I wound up moving back to New York, and he hit me up about this opportunity to be part of this rap collective. And I was at a crossroads between my work and my creativity. I didn't really know where I was going, and he followed up a couple times, and I was like, you know what? Let me find out what this is about. Super glad I did, because I've never felt a good balance in both my life and my creativity. So thanks, Tim.
It's actually a funny story. So Parker reached out to me and was trying to take some mixing and vocal production lessons, because my other job that I do is I am a music production teacher. So I teach people how to use the software Ableton Live. I teach people how to mix and master their own music. I teach people how to produce vocals. And Parker sought me out wanting to take lessons. And so he reached out, we connected up. He was like, I'm starting this hip hop collective that has a bunch of different rappers, and I want to make sure that I know how to mix everything. I was like, oh, that sounds awesome. I wish I could do something like that. And he was like, do you want to? And asked if I wanted to submit something for everyone in the group to take a look at, and everybody was hyped on it, and here we are. So I am the newest member of the DK crew, and I'm just like delighted. Get to do all my favorite stuff, get to mix and master, get to write some verses. I'm just like happy to be here. Happy to be here, folks. Do you think that where you're from has any bearing on how you approach your craft? If so, how? So I'm from Colorado, and I would say more specifically musically, I'm from the Colorado rave scene. I was going to supermassive raves when I was like 15 or 16, which is crazy in hindsight. I don't know why anyone let me do that. But I really came up in the dance music, like underground dance music scene. And for better or for worse, that community really took me in. And then also that community is really centered around substance use. You know, it wasn't uncommon for people that I went to shows with back in the day to say, I don't know who's playing at this show, but I do want to go, and we're gonna, you know, take X, Y, and Z and do this. So that has influenced me both in the sense that I have a lot of love for production and for beat making, and in that it pushed me to the point where I needed to get sober, and I needed to get clean and take care of myself. So a lot of my process now is figuring out how to integrate the best of that while leaving some of the worst of it behind. Which song or artist is getting you fired up right now? For me, Le Seraphim, this may be a weird answer, Le Seraphim has me so excited. For me, Crazy was the song of 2024. I'm really excited. They just started teasing Hot, which I think is their next mini album. I love everything that they're doing aesthetically. I think that they're weird in a way that I'm really always a big fan of. And I think Yoon Jin and a lot of the other people on there are just like all doing their own unique sounds. I just think they're incredible. And every release I think has been better than the last. And I'm just excited to hear what they do next. What is your optimal environment for writing or crafting music? My process has historically been very insular. I have always done, the songwriting, production, mixing, mastering, lyricism, artwork, distribution. All of that has always been a one-person operation for me. But I'm finding that being part of this more collaborative environment is actually one of the healthiest possible things for me. That having other people's perspective and insight and input has been really invaluable. I just think that Paper Suit is such a wonderful project in the way that it fosters collaboration, and we all get to build each other up, and I get some feedback on things that I'm working on of like, oh, this is not your strongest, and maybe could you try doing it like this, or I think your delivery could be better in this way. I don't think I realized how starved I was for that feedback, for that collaborative spirit, and I think it really motivates me and helps me to grow and improve. Plus, I'm a little competitive, and I think that there's like a fun, inherent, like, can we outdo each other thing that's happening, which I think is really, really fun. I wouldn't be shocked if other people said, I don't know, because I really pushed for this. And originally it was just, I was organizing the sessions and I wanted to be able to have something that helped me to keep all of the different art. If I have 5 different vocalists in the project and each of them has like 5 different takes, like ad-libs, doubles and stuff like that, suddenly you're staring down the barrel of like 25, 30, 40 different takes, and color coding them is like the only way to keep that sensible. So originally it was that, but it turned into something more where the colors, everyone had like pretty strong opinions about which color they would get, and it became clear that there was a deeper symbolic meaning to it. So for example, Parker is green, and I think of that as like, he is the growth, he is like the genesis of the group. He is literally like the founder and the progenitor, like the seed that helped the group grow. He's also the green light. He's the one who keeps us pushing forward and meeting deadlines. And he is, he is just like green. He is growth. He is all of those things. And then Luch is like purple, that like romantic kind of, like a purple heart, like it's like romantic, but also a little bit of darkness and a little bit of like majesty and royal quality. I think associate that with him. You know, Timmy is blue, this like wavy, flowing, icy, cool thing. Scanlon, orange, being like the fire, the passion, the little bit of like a spark that is going, because he has such this intensity to him. And then for me, I ended up with gold, which took me a second to come around to, because I was originally not thinking in terms of, you know, I didn't think of gold as being a plausible color, because like part of the thing with gold is it's shiny. But I came around to it, so like specifically my color is actually metallic gold. And for me that makes a lot of sense, because gold is very conductive. It like helps electricity travel along things. Gold is very like precious. I really love to make things like very expensive sounding, very polished, very shiny and pleasant to listen to. And then gold is also very soft and yielding. You know, of all the metals, it's one that is much more likely to dent or bend. And so I think that having a softness to my person and then conducting, you know, this electronic stuff, like handling all the electronics, there's a lot of symbolism in it that as soon as you start to dig, we all chose these colors in a way that really enhances and symbolizes who we are in the group and as people. And I think that's really cool. To me, it's been really important to kind of keep hammering that in, because I think it's so cool. I think once people understand who is in this group and what their strengths are and what differentiates us from each other, they're gonna really start to make those connections too and be like, oh, you know, this track has the orange and the yellow art, so that means that Scanlon and Evoke are on it, and that means it's probably gonna be like a little bit fierier, it's probably gonna be a little bit more of like a sharp, punchy tune, whereas this one is like blue and purple and has, you know, Luch and Timmy on it, where it's going to be a little bit more cool and calm. Like Belief has the blue and purple artwork for that reason. So yeah, I think it's a really helpful, like symbolism is excellent shorthand, and I think the color symbolism ends up just really having a lot of weight to it.
Ideal way to caffeinate. My morning beverage order. Typically, I probably go for just a simple latte. Occasionally lavender, vanilla, or caramel. I really like oat milk, almond milk. I'm not a dairy guy really, unless I'm having ice cream or cheese. Those are two things I can't give up. But yeah, I like coffee in the morning. And lately I've actually been hooked on the energy vitamin waters. They're like yellowish orange. They're super good. Highly recommend.
Such a great question. I am a caffeine addict. I love coffee, lattes, cappuccinos, whatever. I spent a ton of money on coffee, like pretty frequently. I love going out for coffee. It's probably my like most impulsive, common decision. Like, but my mom and dad actually got me and my girlfriend an espresso machine for Christmas, and it's saving me so much money. I don't go out for coffee nearly as much as I used to. On the flip side though, I am drinking entirely too much coffee. Like I've sometimes I'll be like working and almost, you know, I get like get the jitters. But yeah, no, I'm a espresso all the way.
I'm really hyped up, low key, for this group that we're collecting. I feel like there's a lot of potential for us to climb up and, you know, hit the ladder of, you know, radio play and, you know, just getting on good playlists and stuff and getting like-minded and like sounding music together.